Hello and welcome to the Urban Fairy. Today it's going to be the Urban Fairy. You'll see. So I keep seeing these things go by about sort of organic creams for your skin. My skin is so dry. It's so dry that my face has dandruff. I put cream on and literally within 3 minutes it's dry again. So nothing is really working. And then I was reading the ingredients of something that keeps going by on my Facebook feed. And I thought, oh, I can make that for a lot less. And so in, I think, 1989, I joined a medieval society, and my interest was in medicinal medieval herbs. So I learned a lot about herbs. This time it's going to be different for me. I usually use a lot of fresh herbs, but this time I'm using more essential oils. I had to order stuff on Amazon because although I had a lot of the ingredients, I felt they were past their best before date. So I just got this, and oh, I think I ordered 2 of these by mistake. So organic coconut oil. Everything I ordered was organic. I've never worked with coconut oil before, so I'm really interested. Actually, there's a few things I've never worked with before. This is castor oil, and we all need a little more fish in our lives. Boy, they packaged this so crazily. Let's open the bottom. Maybe not. That you can't even read the stuff on the box, which is kind of counterproductive. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever made anything like this before. Because I was looking at it from a medieval perspective, I never use a stove, a microwave, any kind of electricity with what I do. Also, never use metal. Metal can change the properties of certain things, so I don't use metal. Like I don't use a metal spoon to stir. I usually use chopsticks, and there we go. That's the castor oil. And then my shea butter was way out of date, so I got some shea butter. And I also, I forgot about this. Another thing I've never worked with before is avocado oil. So you can see that this is set up for really dry skin. And I'm of an age where my skin looks like not skin. It looks like, well, they call it creping because it looks like crepe paper. And it's uncomfortable, and my legs look like, you know, the salt flats of Nevada. So I'm excited to try this. I've made creams before. I've made, oh God, I made a ton of things. I've made, this is a bunch of essential oils, and I think there might just be one in here that I need, but my favorite scent that it was made by an Indigenous company here in Canada, and I can't find them anymore. They closed down probably through COVID, and it was all natural. It was just a mix of sandalwood and vanilla, and it was intoxicating. And I don't really wear perfume anymore. Does anybody? So anyway, this is it. It's a set of 14 different, again, with the packaging, people. Do we need all this plastic in our lives? And, it's very little. That's what it looks like. So I can't even read it here. Oh my gosh, I can't even read it there. That's a really weird way to do it. Can you read any of those? all essential oils will say watch when you put on your skin. That's mostly if you're putting a concentrated oil on, essential oil on your skin, because they're really potent. Anyway, these are teeny little things. So much went into this packaging, so that's what one looks like. I can't read them. I hope I can. Oh, and then it comes with little pumpy things. Oh, eyedroppers, so that's convenient. There. And then that was a lot that I had to get. So probably what I spent is close to what one container like this of this cream that I was looking at. But this would make, 10 times that. And I really like working with herbs. And anyway, this is beeswax. I'd already grated a bunch of it. Grated, not grated. Because when you're working with it in heat, it's very, very, very slow to melt. And so the next part of this, I'll be making it. And what I use to make things like this is I've bought up a whole bunch of chocolate fondues from the thrift shop. So I literally use the heat of a candle, which is way more gentle than using a stove top or whatever. And the bowl itself is ceramic. So I have everything here. I just need to get a few more tools. And I'm going to make some of this and see what happens. I don't know. I have no idea what the ingredients are in terms of how much, but I can pretty much guess. You can almost guess by like the container it comes in. So this has rosemary oil in it. So rosemary oil, avocado oil, shea butter, castor oil, coconut oil, and beeswax. And those are the ingredients I'm going to use. I have no idea in what quantity, but clearly the little teeny thing of rosemary is not going to be the major ingredient. So you can almost tell by the size of what you got how much you need. So I will need probably more avocado oil than I do castor oil. I'm just guessing, but that's the fun of this. There's no recipe out there, and maybe I'll do a few more of these. Just because it's not just fun, it's really kind of getting back to nature, and there's some extraordinary things that you can make in your own house besides babies, and I feel like I've gotten away from it a little bit because I'm really busy in my life. So stay tuned and we'll make it. And if you have these ingredients, you can make it with me, or you can do that later. I'll also see how it works. So stay with me and we'll see what happens. Okay, I think now I'm ready to go. So what I collected, aside from what I'd shown you, is I just got the lid of a soup can. I'm going to put it underneath there because I don't want wax dripping everywhere. I have a tea light, which I'm going to light now. And that goes underneath the chocolate fondue. I have a chocolate fondue. It's ceramic. I have a spoon, also ceramic. And I have a stirring chopstick. Now, usually when I'm working with fresh herbs or dried herbs, there's a more of a process, because then I have to strain it through cheesecloth, and the stirring is more important. This isn't going to be as intense. What else did I collect? A jar to put it in, and a strainer to pour it in, and I think that's it. I've opened up the packages so I'm not fumbling around, and, you know, something to wipe off the mess, which I'm sure I'm going to make. So I thought about it a little bit, and I think I'm going to start with the shea butter. Oh, clearly I haven't opened everything. I think I'm going to, I always call it parts. So I'm going to do, I think, 5 parts. And I call it 5 so that when I'm using 2 or 1, you get that it's a lot less. So I'm going to use equal parts shea butter and coconut oil. So if I can get it open. So I lied, I didn't open everything. Everything's in plastic, just everything. So this is the shea butter. I'm not going to make a ton of this, which is why I have a small jar, because it may not be the right mixture. And it's organic. It's not going to stay good forever. The nice thing about organic stuff is when it goes bad, it's pretty clear. Yeah, I think that's good. And this is really messy. I'm avoiding, oh, see, most smart people, they would have opened it by this end. Okay, I've got sticky fingers already. I'm going to wipe them on my legs. I don't want to wipe them on my arms because I want to try it and show the difference on my arms. So there is the shea butter, and ooh, it's more solid than I thought. What are the ingredients here? Store in a cool place. Oh, it's already starting to melt. And I think that's about right. It might be a little bit more than the shea butter. Yeah, I think it is. I think I'm just going to add a little bit more of the shea butter. Let's put this in here and see if I can get some of this on. Oops, so much for the tablecloth. Okay. When I cut these bags like this, I always leave a little, I cut a notch because I don't want to spend a whole bunch of my life trying to get these open. I might have to just go wash my hands. Why didn't I open it there? There. I'm not going to say, oh, now I think I have more shea butter. I don't like having sticky fingers. So I'm going to have to go wash my hands now, but you won't notice me gone at all. That's melting nice and fast. I don't smell anything yet. Oh, I will soon. Okay, next I'm going to add the avocado oil. 100% pure. I gave that 3 squeezes. And then the castor oil. That much. so much from my big measuring lecture. And this is the rosemary. And I've got that much of it. And I put that in. And you know what? I always have to make things my own. And I am going to add lavender oil to this, because lavender is also really good for the skin. And I'm not overly fussy on the smell of rosemary. So, oh, I still have that cap in, so I won't be shaking it like that in a second. Okay, that one's for that one. We'll put that one there. There. So that was the lavender. It's a cute little set. But I had to use my loop to find out that this thing contains, they're little teeny bottles, but rosemary, jasmine, rose, eucalyptus, ylang ylang, cedarwood, tea tree, sandalwood, orange, clove, vanilla, lavender, clary sage, and lemon. So, and they're all organic and 100% essential oils. Anyway, let's stir this and see what we've got. Now you may be wondering why I have beeswax. Because beeswax is the thing they add to more natural products or more things from the Middle Ages to make it less liquidy. So it works to solidify it a little bit, but I got to tell you, I love the smell of beeswax. I have beeswax hair products. I just love the smell. So while we're waiting for this to all melt, a little rule, you never let it boil. So if you see it starting to bubble, you take it off the heat for a little bit and put it back on. This doesn't require a lot of heat. It's not like when I'm trying to get all the things out of herbs that are dried or fresh. This is very different. I'm heating it because I want all those things to meld together. So while we're waiting, I don't know if you're experts in herbal stuff or just beginning, but I used to teach classes in it, and I always started with the idea that people think herbal stuff is all sort of safe, and it's all not. If a grown man ate 2 nutmegs, it would kill him. Likewise, oregano is a uterine stimulant. And so, a few years ago, the rage was oregano. Before that was echinacea. It just keeps changing. And anyway, there's a pizza place in the States that basically advertised, if you're a woman and you're overdue with your baby, come in and have a pizza and you'll go into labor. And they do, because the pizza's chock full of oregano. But it's not a magical pizza thing. It's an herbal thing. Anyway, so I also teach, if you're going to make herbal stuff and you're collecting bottles, always put the dangerous stuff in a textured bottle. Now, this is a holdover from the apothecaries in the Middle Ages, because they were often working in the dark or candlelight. And as soon as their hand touched a textured bottle, they knew that it was something to pay attention to. So I still do that. When you're collecting herbs, try to find out not just the common names, but the Latin names, because over the centuries, the Latin names didn't really change. If you're going to dry them, think cool no sunlight, dry. And there's many ways you can do it. You know, when you go to a dollar store and you see those sort of, they're, what are they called? Chargers, but they're like straw or bamboo or something, and you put a paper plate on top of them. I use those stacked up to collect flower herbs like borage and calendula, and then I just fill one up, put another one on. They're really great. Also, a paper bag, cut some notches in it, put the herbs in the bag, tie it around the top, and then hang it to dry. That's to block the sun from it. If you've got what's called a still room or a cold room, wow, I envy you. And that's when you see all the old fantasy stuff where the herbs are drying in the cottage, hanging up. But that makes them get dusty, and you don't want that. So there's different kinds of herbal preparations. An infusion is a tea, basically making a tea with herbs. Decoction is an extraction of the mineral salts and bitter principles of an herb rather than the vitamins. This is done by boiling the herb for several minutes. I say herb, I don't know why, but I'm sure all of you are correcting me in your head, because herb is a name for me. Cold extract is the herb is put into cold water for 8 to 12 hours in a non-metallic container, then strained. Juice, the herb is chopped up into small pieces and pressed to squeeze into juices. Powder, the dried plant is ground to pieces with a mortar and pestle until it produces a powder. Syrup, I'm actually reading this from my own notes in an article that I had published in a book because I couldn't find my notes. That's sad. Syrup is made by boiling sugar and water to which the medicinal herbal ingredients are added. If I were doing that, I would use honey, just my preference. A tincture is an herb that's steeped in alcohol, and I hope I remember that. An ointment is a low-heat mixture of the herb and oil to which beeswax is added as a thickener, and that's what we're doing here. And it's almost all melted. A poultice is a topical application of herbs or an herbal compound directly to a wound or infection. Some of you grew up with those when you had a cold, mustard, and so on. And a fomentation is a cloth soaked in an infusion, so soaked in a tea, with the excess wrung out, and then you put it on. And what was I going to remember to say? Oh, dear. Oh, if you make, say, a tincture, which is the one with alcohol, the principal law is if it grows in the sun, you can keep it in the sun. If it grows underground, you keep it in the shade. So one year I made echinacea, and I made that by taking plants that were over 2 years old, flowers, and they're a rhizome plant, but they've got all the frilly sort of hairy bits. That sounds awful. So I cut them off and rinsed them with cold water and filled a jar with them. And then I can replant the plants, cut the flower off and put them in the ground, and they'll grow again. And then I think I used vodka for that over top and sealed the jar. Every couple of days, I just turn the jar back and forth. I think it took about a month. But the interesting thing about making echinacea tincture is you know it's done when it's got a light amber color and it smells like maple wood. And there you go. And so I made a whole jar of that for the cost of the alcohol. And meanwhile, if you get a tincture like this, well, this one is really big. Even the smaller size is like $20-something. So that's really good. And that's something you can do from your garden, and it's a piece of cake to do. Yeah, I also have, a whole article on the humors, and that's not a beginner course. But a lot of what I do is about the humors. Every plant has a humus, every food. So if I can explain, chili pepper would be hot and dry to the nth degree. So there's usually 3 degrees. They say 4th degree is poison. Some of it should come under that. And on the reverse side, cucumber is cold and moist to the 3rd degree, almost 4th degree. So in the mind in the Middle Ages, cucumber was almost a poison. And the idea is that everybody has a humor. There's hot and dry, hot and moist, cold and dry, cold and moist. An example, the guy raking the lawn and his face is all red and he's pouring sweat, hot and moist. And then you've got an asthmatic who's usually cold and moist. And there's a lot of phlegm and coughing. And it just didn't affect the what they ate or what they used for medicine. It also affected where they lived. And so let's say an asthmatic would be better off living in the desert than in England. And they shouldn't drink white wine. They should drink red wine. They should eat spicy foods and not a lot of dairy products, because dairy all comes under cold and moist. And it was a lifestyle. It was how they thought of everything. They also ascribe a certain age group, like they would say cold and dry is sort of the last chapter of your life. And I can attest to the dry, that's for sure. That's why we're here. Okay, so that's all mixed. And I'm going to now put in some of this grated beeswax. This is a hit or miss game. Now, because this is for skin and I don't want to have to dig it out of the jar, I'm not adding a whole lot. And as soon as that melts, we're ready to pour in the jar. And I hope I haven't bored you, but I find working with herbs extremely exciting and fun, and all the other things that you look for when you're doing things in your spare time. And I've got a fabulous herb cupboard, and every time I open it, the smells are just incredible. And I do have a lot of the essential oils that I needed here. But like I said, they too have their best before date. I used to make a lot of my sort of healing salves with rendered goose fat, purified rendered goose fat, because it in itself has its own healing properties. The Germans, which kept up the herbal lore throughout history, they know that, and they would use just goose fat for as a poultice for a cold. So it's interesting. Okay, I think I just put a little bit more in there. It really helps if you grate it up, the beeswax, before you try it, because putting a chunk in and waiting for it to melt is really time consuming. Trying to think what else I can share with you. Oh, like the humors and hot and cold. And so even in the 10th century, they knew that there were 2 kinds of migraines. Some doctors don't know that to this day. There's a cold migraine and a hot migraine. Hot migraine wants to be cooled down. So the kind of things you use to cool down, in terms of herbs, the blue ones are usually cold, where the hot ones are usually like the sun, orange and yellow. And so with the hot migraine, you want to cool it down. With a cool migraine, you want to heat it up. So some people will tell you when they have a migraine, they want a hot compress, they maybe want a hot bath. But the people who want cold, they usually are like in a dark room, no noise, no light. And it's just interesting. So I run a theater company. We do a street theater show called Asphalt Jungle Shorts. And we were rehearsing a run through in location, and we walked into the bar downtown, and it's in the basement. It's a really old hotel, and you know, there was a lot of sort of a what is that called? Prohibition prohibition alcohol switching, because in the city I'm in was Seagram Brothers. Anyway, it had a reputation, this hotel. And we walked down into the room, and one of my actors like immediately had a migraine. And I said, do you want heat or do you want cold? And he said, cold, cold. And I said, well, where's Roger? And Roger is one of my actors. And he had earlier given me a piece of gum, and it was one of those mind-blowing mint gums. And I said, can you give Chris a piece of your gum? And he did, and that migraine was gone immediately. And I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm just saying it's about an imbalance. Illness is about an imbalance in the body. And so if you can rebalance it, it's really good. So I think we're done here. And so I'm going to use a huge one of these because I don't want to spill it nicely. And oh man, I couldn't have gotten closer to that if I measured. So now we're going to let that set. And for you, it's going to be a very short period of time. And for me, it's going to be longer. And once that is set, you know what though? What I'll do first is I'm going to put my finger in this. How hot is it? It's hot. And I'm going to show you close up how dry my skin is. And we're going to put this on. And by the time that hardens, we'll see what this arm looks like compared to my other one. How's that? It's really hot. Okay, so we'll be back in a jiff. All right, this is several hours later. This is the finished product. And I poured every drop I made into that. I don't think I could have measured it better. I have not stuck my finger in it yet, so I don't know if it's the right consistency, but I hope it is. I don't know if this is fair because it has been several hours. I initially put some on there when it was still warm and none on there. So I don't know if that's any different. Maybe we can get a bit closer. So this one is the one I put some on, but I'm going to put some on now. So it's pretty soft. Smells good. So there's the difference with it on and with it not on. So, I mean, I could wait for this video for a few weeks and test it every day, but I'm not going to. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd like to see more of or less of. I'm just about to make a solid perfume, and that will be in the next video. This is the most intoxicating scent I've ever had. It was made in Canada by an indigenous company that are no longer around. And I saved the bottle because I just wanted to find it again and I couldn't. So I'm going to replicate that to the best of my ability in a solid. I will add way more beeswax, and it will be something that I can carry in my purse, and you know, like a really heavy, the stuff you get for your eyebrows. Anyway, that's it. So let me know. Give it a like if you like this. This is a departure from my usual jewelry. And let me know in the comments if it's something you'd like to see more of. I have a bit of taste for so many different things, so that's all I got. We'll see you the next time.